You Soldier Boy, I really want me crack it, want me roll, want me crank that Soldier Boy now, Superman that hope. How you doing? I'm feeling warm. We're warmed up. I think I fucking hit the go live button unlike yesterday today. We're warmed up. The neck's feeling warm. The temperatures in Texas this morning. Oof. My power was out in my building until 8:30 a.m. So I got up and I actually changed up my routine and it was a good thing. There's a nice Starbucks across from me. Really fucking nice one. Went in there right when it opened. Beautiful way to change the routine. A couple of these days last week, I don't know if it was the weather changing. I don't know if I was just, I don't know what it was. I was waking up like feeling like sad. And I was like, I can't have this. Change up the routine today. Go there, do some work until my power comes back on. And I think I'm going to stick with that routine. But the point of saying that was, as I don't think my nipples are that hard, somebody said. But the point of saying all this was, yeah, I went outside and it was 54 fucking degrees. I mean, granted, it was 6 in the morning, but no sun up. The lights were off outside. Man. So, yeah, it's nice. I was told there would not be any fall in Texas. And it's summer, spring, winter, and fall all in the same fucking day today. Literally. It's insane. It's insane. Yo, the turtleneck Sal. Yeah, I got to get more turtlenecks. This is the only turtleneck I've owned. For the OGs out there, you know I've owned this turtleneck for like a motherfucking year now. And whenever we put this turtleneck on, you know we're feeling frisky. You know that we've got something going on in the Showdown streets if we're wearing this turtleneck. I mean, goddamn, I could have waited a day and we could have had the NBA popping off. Oof. I mean, by the way, all the NBA tools are up right now on Patreon. A lot of people out there want me to split myself in two, which I wish I could do, but I would die. I would literally fucking bleed out on the screen. But if I could split myself in two and survive, I would cover the NBA as well on Vetri 2 YouTube channel. Maybe we'll go live for opening night tomorrow. It's just a 2-game slate, but I won't be able to do that every day since we're putting out a lot of NFL content. But we're live on Mondays and Thursdays, so if people want to ask NBA questions when the NBA starts, there you go. Try living in Chicago. Yeah, Chicago sounds brick as fuck, so no. But I lived in Northeast Pennsylvania for 23 years of my life, 22 and a half. So I get the negative 20-degree days. They're not fun. All right, everybody, how you doing? Already missing the loud shirt. Hey, the loud shirt. Power back, Sal? Yeah, the power's back. It was only out until 8:30 a.m. 8:30 a.m., not p.m. a.m. And it was out from 2 a.m. in the morning to 8:30 a.m., so I had to sleep with no AC, had to sleep with no fan. It was brutal. I got the fan app, thank God. Going to be a way easier showdown than last night. I don't know about that. This showdown slate, we have this salaries priced in a salary order. Salaries are in. The showdown slate I didn't play last night, full disclosure. We discussed it. I had it all projected out. I understood how to kind of attack the slate, but I had no interest in playing it. I don't normally play Sunday Night Football slates. The only time I have this year, it was twice, and one time we banked 30K, so maybe we should more. That's all luck for the most part, right? Some skill, a lot of luck on these fucking showdowns. But what I will say is I played props, and yes, nothing from me last night. I didn't even really watch the game. I woke up to check the final score. It wasn't something I was interested in. Went to overtime. Seems like there was a fun game at the end of it, so cool. But tonight's going to be a really cool game. I have the under on this game. We made the betting video last Wednesday. I have the under on this game. I have Tennessee plus 5.5. So I like this spot tonight in the betting streets. Now for DFS, yeah, it doesn't look as good. I actually have more on SuperDraft today in play, or I will, than I will on DraftKings, just because of the way that this slate is coming out. Sunday night was a shit show. Yeah, I wasn't on it. Which underdog props are you liking tonight? I actually took 3 underdog props. Perfect timing. There you go. So unfortunately, I would have liked to only combine 2 props, and those props would have been Ryan Tannehill's over 16.5 and Derrick Henry's under 16.5 receiving yards. But unfortunately, you have to take players from 2 different teams, so I combined that with the under 47.5, which is one of the better numbers I could find in the marketplace on DraftKings, on Prize Picks for comparisons. So we got the under there. So I have these 3 in play tonight. $200 bet. If it hits, we win $1,200. I like Tannehill's over rushing yards, the under receiving yards for Derrick Henry, and the under rushing yards for Zach Moss. Let's hope not go for 3. Let's go for 3 for O. If you want a free $10 to use underdog, you can check it out using the code SAL. But yeah, this is an interesting slate because, I mean, I'm looking at like what my value currently looks like, and I should probably, let me put my projections up on the other screen so I can actually look at them and be technically looking at the little box window that we have right here. So there you go. Now it looks like I'm looking at this shit when I'm really just looking at my projections on my third screen over here. So, I mean, if you're looking for value tonight, it's going to be interesting, and we might get bailed out. We'll see what happens with A.J. Brown. He's ill right now. He got demoted from probable to questionable. We'll see if there's any news on Chester Rogers missing. But yeah, the value is tough to find right now. I do like playing on SuperDraft more tonight just because there's a better chance value can hit for you because you have 3x multipliers on guys like Marcus Johnson, and the kickers have really nice multipliers, and it makes them become interesting plays as kind of sneaky captain options. And Cole Beasley and Zach Moss look like stronger plays on SuperDraft. So SuperDraft's a little bit easier to, I would say, build lineups and get different even when you're building those lineups because of the kickers. And the 3x multipliers on a couple of punt plays, which actually make them viable on that platform. Like if Marcus Johnson tonight has 2 catches, 20 yards, and a touchdown, on DraftKings, that's going to be very good for you, right? That's something you need. On SuperDraft, though, that's going to be like winning, like automatically winning. If he's in your captain spot, you're winning all the money. It's a big difference there because of that 3x multiplier. Diggs over 10 receptions tonight. Holy shit, over 10 receptions. I took Diggs over 82.5 receiving yards. Hot take, under rushing yards, over receiving. Yeah, I think this receiving role for Derrick Henry is a little bit blown out of proportion here, right? I'm below the field on Derrick Henry, by the way, tonight. My current ownership on Derrick Henry, I have no captain Derrick Henry. I'm restricting that. I only have 23% Derrick Henry right now. He's my lowest owned running back of the 4 main running backs, 2 for each team tonight. Other big injury news today is that Jeremy McNichols has not practiced. So Jeremy McNichols, the guy in the Jets game who had 12 targets and caught these 8 to 10 balls, right? That guy has not practiced. And Darrington Evans is potentially eligible. I don't know if they took him off. Did they take him off? There would have had to been a move today to designate him to return. Well, he's designated to return, but I don't know if they activated him by 4 p.m. today. Let's see. Could Darrington Evans be activated for the first time this season? No Darrington Evans tonight as of an hour ago, so there you go. We do not see Cameron Blossingame tonight. So, yeah, we don't have great options here at all. But what could open up as value is if Jeremy McNichols was out, if there's anything left there in this backfield, we have to go back to Mekhi Sargent from the preseason days, if he was to be active for this game. So Darrington Evans out does throw a wrench into maybe some value. So what we're hoping on now is for some wide receiver value to open up. Otherwise, the value that we're looking at on this slate, man, is it brutal. I mean, like, you're hoping to get value out of, like, legitimate value on guys that project out for, like, 5 points or more for me and actually look like value plays outside of the kickers. You're taking flyers on Devin Singletary and Anthony Fursker. Like, there's not much else to say there. You're hoping that maybe there's some injury news that we can get on. So there's no backup for Henry tonight. I want to say that Mekhi Sargent is still on this roster, but let's see. I don't know if they promoted him from the practice squad. But right now, we're going to get news in the next 35 minutes on Jeremy McNichols. But yeah, he hasn't practiced the last 2 days, which would mean absolutely no backup, which would make my receiving prop on Henry not feel as good. So Blossingame is out. Mekhi Sargent is still on the roster. I don't know if he's on the active roster, though. But Mekhi Sargent would be the running back next man up with no Darrington Evans or fullback Blossingame tonight. I don't know if he's on the active roster, but he had a great preseason. Fucking hot as shit in this room. If anybody knows if he's on the active roster, throw it in the chat. AJ Brown is active. AJ Brown is active, so we're losing all of the potential value that could have opened up. I mean, we didn't really have it anyways, but AJ Brown is active tonight. For anybody looking. What's up, Sal? Glad to catch you live, brother. Glad to have you here. Fucking hot as shit in this thing with this turtleneck on. Do you think Henry scores 9 or more points more than Diggs? I don't have him projected to. I have Diggs for only 0.7 less points. So I have Diggs for less than a point less than Derrick Henry. The best time to wear a striped sweater is all the time. One with the collar turtleneck. Hey, my man David Gonzalez going off. Sal, what's the deal on Knox this week? Yay or nay? Just naturally, Knox is going to have to become in play. Like I had Knox earlier. Like I'll slide down on here so you can see some of the other interests. Earlier, I had Knox as a no, but with the lack of options on this slate, I just naturally get more Knox because he's not cheap, but for players that you can actually play, he starts to actually become cheap. Like if you're $7,000 or below on this slate in a weird way, you're actually cheap because of the fact that if you put a Cole Beasley captain or something along those lines, you can afford these players, and he projects out for close to 10 points. So I have 34% Dawson Knox. I'm not playing him in the captain spot. I know he had the 100-yard game last time out Sunday Night Football. A lot of that was off of one big play. But he has 2 touchdown upside. I'm not totally against Captain Dawson Knox, but he is surviving right now on touchdowns, and I don't think anybody could really argue against that. Like Dawson Knox at this point, if he's not scoring a touchdown for you, he's for the very large majority of his career, he's outside of one game 2 years ago, he's going to be going out there for a 4-catch, 40-yard performance. Top 3 projected players for me. Yeah, it should seem fairly obvious, but it's Allen, Derrick Henry, and Diggs. Diggs just over Tannehill. Singletary, I see him getting more touches this game. Yeah, I have Singletary projecting out as a decent play. Decent, but I like the kickers more than Singletary tonight. I'm actually mainly like Tyler Bass more than Singletary, but Singletary looks like a solid play. I have him for like 8.2 fantasy points. The ownership that he's picking up is fine. If we're trying to find some leverage plays, right, like that's a big thing. Trey White going to shadow Julio or Brown, or just going to move around? I think he moves around. He's only played man-to-man shadow coverage 29% of the time this year. If McNichols plays, how do you feel about him? 12 targets when playing from behind against the Jets. Yeah, 12 targets when playing from behind against the Jets. I think we can all agree that that is an outlier, though. Like, since it was the most recent game where they played from behind, we like to jump up and down and say that McNichols is going to be exciting if he indeed suits up and is fully a go tonight. It's just not something that I feel all that great about. The reason being is it's 12 targets for a backup running back who's going to play. He's going to go out there and play 25% of the snaps, right? Like when he ended up seeing 12 targets in that game, he did it on 22 routes. He saw over a 50% target rate. The NFL average for really elite wide receivers is like 15%. So, yeah, it's not something that I'm going to think holds up. Now, on this slate, it could be feasible, and we'll find out in about a minute or two. But it could be very feasible that you end up seeing Julio Jones is officially active. We all assume that. We should be getting this in active news hopefully within the next couple of minutes. But it could be completely feasible that you go out there and you see Jeremy McNichols have a nice game tonight. That being said, no, I'm not projecting 12 targets. I have Jeremy McNichols for only 1.5 to 2 receptions tonight in my projections. Let's get this money, y'all. Let's get this money. Talking about all the rappers, the Soulja Boy, do the shmoney dance. Hey. Double up contest. Firsker, Gabe Davis, Anthony Firsker. Is there a world where you fade Allen and Henry tonight? Josh Allen and Henry? Let me see. Well, I'm definitely fine fading Henry. I have 23% Henry. It doesn't feel great, of course, but it depends on the lineup that you're building. You probably have a lot of Tannehill in those lineups would be my guess. But I have right now Josh Allen in 74% of my lineups and Derrick Henry in 23, so I'm sure there's lineups where I don't have either, so I think it's fine. Yo, Sal, Julio at the captain spot. I currently have Julio as one of my captain options. I have 12% Julio captain right now. He does make for a very interesting single entry play. I'm having a difficult time. I'm not playing too much on DraftKings tonight. I mean, not as much as I normally do. I'm probably playing like 25% of, like normally I'll play like $3,000 on these slates on DraftKings. I'm going to play like $750. It's just not a good slate. Like I think we all know that. I think it's a better slate. I actually have more in play, and we'll have more in play on SuperDraft tonight, which if you want a free $25, use the code SAL over there, because I think SuperDraft looks a lot better tonight. And if I'm trying to find an edge tonight, there's very few places to find the edge, and we can talk about leverage right now on DraftKings, where there's obviously the built-in edge on SuperDraft because those contests don't fill. But if you're trying to find like any type of leverage plays, I mean, in the captain spot tonight, the main leverage play is going to be Cole Beasley. And it feels disgusting to say that, but that's just true. Like nobody's going to want to go back to Cole Beasley, as when you factor in the price point, arguably the second best captain play on the slate, arguably the best captain play on the slate tonight for DraftKings is Cole Beasley. That feels gross to say, coming off of a 1 catch for 5-yard game with his lowest snap count of the year in the 30% range, which is very, very scary, right? But that is a 1-game sample. He's been bad for 2 games. He also has 2 games of 13 targets on the year, right? So I think that a lot of people are going to run away from Cole Beasley. Cole Beasley should be, he's definitely a top 5 captain. I would say he's surely a top 3 captain. And then it starts to decide, do you want Josh Allen? Do you want Derrick Henry? Do you want Diggs up there in terms of where he ranks for you? But the fact that his price point is so fucking cheap and there's easily a chance where he sees 12 targets tonight in a good matchup, by the way, in the slot, that's what we like to see. Dawson Knox emerging and playing a lot more out of the slot last game is a major concern, right? Dawson Knox played a season and career high 91% of the snaps last game, a lot of those out of the slot, which pushed Cole Beasley off the field. And he excelled in the role, 100-yard game and a touchdown. So that's a concern. 100 yards on limited receptions and right one big play. So that's definitely a concern. But when you're trying to find an edge on a showdown slate with absolutely no value, one way to potentially do that is to get a guy who has 2 13-target games, has been a massive part of this offense for the past 2 years in Cole Beasley. And putting him in the captain spot obviously then alleviates you to get in your lineup. Like if you're playing a Josh Allen in the captain spot tonight, you are automatically missing out on getting a Steph Diggs or a Tannehill in your lineup. When you play Cole Beasley, you get that additional stud in your lineup, right? So I think Cole Beasley is the best leverage play in the entire slate, whether that is in your flex spot, whether that is in your captain spot. He's the best leverage play on the entire slate. After that, you'll probably find some leverage in the kickers tonight because they're more viable than usual, which is not typically the case. I'll scroll down so we can see some more options here. Other than that, like it's tough. It's tough to try and find leverage until we get some of this inactive news. I would say that everybody else is coming in with reasonable ownership right now. Not much leverage. Josh Reynolds is actually coming in over-owned I would say there's some leverage on Devin Singletary, some leverage on Marcus Johnson tonight, who should run some routes regardless. I actually have him ahead of Nick Westbrook. I only have Westbrook running 3 routes and seeing no targets. That's why I have him projected for 0 if you are a Patreon member. Sal, who's your favorite play tonight? Whoever that pick is, replacement, because he's going to get hurt. Yeah. Honestly, my man Kevin says the perfect thing. The last 5 showdown slates, I've had scares on important players in my main lineup. Now, 2 times they've returned. DJ Shark didn't return, but Jacoby Myers returned and had a good game. I forgot who the other player was. He had an even better game, but he returned. I forgot what that was, like 2 weeks ago. It was Daryl Henderson. Daryl Henderson leaves for like a drive. Sony Michel gets 9 fucking carries. So every single showdown side I play, guys get hurt. Kadarius Toney was in my single entry lineup on Sunday. I lost 98%, about $2,800 on DraftKings yesterday because Kadarius Toney, not the only reason why, but everything else looked pretty good. The Tyreek Hill and Patrick Mahomes looked pretty good with the Ricky Seals-Jones run back, and that stack felt pretty good. The skinny stack of Daryl Henderson plus Kadarius Toney felt pretty good, and then Kadarius Toney gets hurt. So that really sucked. Snazzy Sal, quit fucking playing. Now we're all in trouble over here. Over on Henry rushing touchdown 1/2 tonight. Thanks, Sal, everybody. Yeah, I would take the over 1/2 rushing touchdown on Derrick Henry tonight. I think that's more than fair. Would you rather play Jones or Brown? I'd rather play Jones. Brown has the murky status, which in theory should help out his ownership. But just in general, I think Julio Jones for this specific year, and this sounds like a hot take because so many people out there had their raging hard-ons over like February, March, and April, and May, and before Julio got there for A.J. Brown. He's going to see Devontae Adams' target share. I don't know if you guys have watched A.J. Brown. He is a size and speed specimen, right? He doesn't run the greatest of routes. DK Metcalf, way better than A.J. Brown, by the way. Way better. He is a force. That's why he has as good of a receiver as he is, because he's just way faster and he's way bigger than most guys. But he's not this fine route runner, right? Julio Jones can run some motherfucking routes, and he has those other things. So Julio Jones, and obviously the savviness. I know Julio Jones is 32 years old. I think Julio Jones is the best wide receiver right now in the Tennessee Titans. And I feel like a lot of like people don't disagree with that, but like in this sharp community of everybody jumping up and down and riding the A.J. Brown train and other things of A.J. Brown, which are probably massive, pause. Yeah, everybody just automatically assumes that he's better, and so does DraftKings tonight. I think Julio Jones is the better wide receiver on his team. He's having the better season so far when he's out there, limited sample. But yes, I prefer Julio Jones for the cheaper price point. $100 single entry, who's your captain? Yeah, I don't know who my captain is tonight. I kind of want to play a Cole Beasley, to be honest with you, but I don't have my single entry captain. Like, Josh Allen looks good, fucking expensive. Steph Diggs looks like the most optimal captain when you factor in price point and massive ceiling that is yet to show yet. Like, massive ceiling. Like, Steph Diggs, if there's ever a matchup and a time for him to erupt, it's when the stars shine on primetime football games, when he has a matchup against the Tennessee Titans defense that is soft in the secondary. I mean, you still have yet to see the 7-catch, 130-yard game and 1 or 2 touchdowns from Steph Diggs, right? And that is eventually going to come. Somebody says the pause buttons. We need to get these likes for Sal, fellas. Yeah, hit the like button, by the way. But I think Cole Beasley is a really good captain option because of the way the slate falls out. So it probably comes down to Steph Diggs and Beasley for me. Like, I'm talking myself out of Josh Allen as we talk about this right now. Does Aaron Rodgers own that thick-ass pumpkin? Yeah, I'm going to be going pumpkin picking this weekend, so I'll be sure to take a lot of pictures with the thick-ass pumpkin seasons. It's pumpkin fucking season, by the way, pause. You get these big-ass pumpkins. You have a good time with them. Hey, Sal, quick Patreon question. Is there an in-between tier between NFL priority, which I am, and basic NBA, or does it have to be Hall of Fame? It has to be Hall of Fame. There's all sports package, which allows you to get all the sports, but you won't get the optimizers. What you're looking for, if you're looking for getting both NBA and NFL plus the optimizer for NFL, that would be Hall of Fame, yeah. Nice turtleneck, thank you. Ayo, pause that one, Mr. Vetri. No, chill. You talk fast, my guy. Yeah, I do. Sal, bad idea to fade both QBs in a single game? If you're fading both QBs, you better build a lineup around that, right? You better build a lineup that has Derrick Henry. You better build a lineup that has Zach Moss and or Devin Singletary, right? You better be building a lineup in that regard because Ryan Tannehill is cheap today. And Josh Allen has continuously gone the fuck off. Sal, my dude, what's up, boss man? Thoughts on Zach Moss' performance? I'm actually lower on Zach Moss than market. I do think he has touchdown upside, which is the concern for DFS on why I'll be lower than him. But yeah, love the turtleneck. Thanks. New Hall of Fame member here. Why do you like Marcus Johnson over Nick Westbrook? I think that Marcus Johnson runs ahead of Nick Westbrook. Well, here's the thing. Look, A.J. Brown is active. Chester Rogers is in the slot. Julio Jones is out wide, right? So there you go. There's their 3 wide receiver sets. After that, barely anybody is going to play today. And I actually have Marcus Johnson. I'm projecting him as the wide receiver 4 ahead of Nick Westbrook today. I know Nick Westbrook was injured last week, but so was Marcus Johnson until last week. Last week was Marcus Johnson's debut. He plays well. He's somebody that they loved in camp. He was probably running ahead of Nick Westbrook in camp, and then he got banged up. So I have the wide receiver 4 tonight being Marcus Johnson. The wide receiver 5 I have is Nick Westbrook, and I have that guy running 5 routes and seeing no targets. That being said, I have Marcus Johnson projected for 2.2 points. So let's not get crazy here. Like Marcus Johnson, I'm fully projecting him to see like at most 2 targets, probably 1. So he's not that great of a play. It's just the fact we have no value. So if you're just trying to throw these punt plays out there, I would choose Marcus Johnson over Nick Westbrook. But circling back to sort of the leverage plays, yeah, there's an obvious reason why I do like Cole Beasley in the captain spot tonight. And that is because of what he allows you to do in the rest of your lineup. If you play Cole Beasley in the captain spot, you are lucky enough to not have to, and I say lucky enough even though everybody has the option, to not have to punt. Is Firsker a lock tonight? Firsker is a solid play only because of the way the slate shapes up. He is nowhere near a lock. I only have Firsker in 25% of my lineups, which is actually a lot more than I thought I would. Like, I'm going to pull up DraftKings right now and start just hand building some lineups and seeing what we get. Welcome to the team, Malik. Yes, welcome to the team. Welcome to the team. My man Jared, also welcome to the team. Hall of Fame member equals the best value, my man. Yeah. If by the way, if you're not a Hall of Fame member on Patreon, get up in there. Not only is it NFL, not only is it MLB, not only is it PGA, not only is it MMA tools up in there, optimizers for all of those. Now we also have NBA back. The NBA returns tomorrow night. I added a player props tool for NBA. I added an advanced metrics dashboard for all the rates, the rebounding percentages, the assists, the steals, all these things to understand where the players succeed outside of the projections and the optimizer in the Discord and all this shit. And it's all in. It's like all included if you're already a Patreon member. So if you like NFL already and you get all that shit as well, bam, if you're a Hall of Fame member, you get it all. Not bad, not bad. More bang for your motherfucking buck. McNichols or a kicker? I'll take a kicker. Do you have injury probability projections? I do not have injury probability projections, no. No, I do not. I will be completely honest with you. I have no idea how to account for injury probability projections. If I put time into it, I probably could, but I also don't think it's giving you that much of an edge. If you're talking about injury probability projections for like season long, like if you were drafting and you didn't want to draft James Conner because he's an injury prone player, because he's one of the most injury prone players in the league, injury prone, right? Depending on the certain ligaments you're talking about, more so than other injuries, then yeah, sure. But if you're talking about like night to night basis, I don't know if you'll ever find an injury-prone thing. Like, you might have somebody that's going to tell you all the injury history of a player, but what does that have to do if that guy gets hurt tonight? Like, if Julio Jones tonight, who has clearly dealt with injuries, not just this year, but his entire career, you seeing a chart of him being a very injury-prone player, injury-prone, right, even though he plays through most of them, is that going to make you not play him? Because it shouldn't, right? So I get the point of having these projections on how likely it is a player misses some games for your regular season-long beginning of the year before you draft players. I don't see the point for it on a night-to-night basis in DFS because I don't think you can actually project what day that player is going to get hurt. You might be able to project the likelihood of a player due to predictive analytics who has similar injuries to players in the past getting injured in a season and missing 1.3 games. You don't know when those games are going to occur, though, right? Is NBA not part of the All Sports package? It says the NBA post isn't available. No, the NBA is a part of the All Sports package. It is available. You just should make sure that you're actually in the All Sports package and not the NFL. If you're in the NFL Basic, then you will not see NBA. But NBA, the initial projections for tomorrow released today at 2:22 p.m., and those are available for the All Sports players. You just don't have the optimizer if you're a Patreon member. But yep, that's available. That's available for you. But if you're in the NFL Basic, you will not be seeing that. So just double check to make sure that that is what you are indeed in. I'll double check on my end too to make sure that the All Sports is actually clicked off in there. Refresh on your end right now because I just refreshed it, by the way. Allen or over under 295 passing yards tonight. I have a no bet on that one. I don't like the number. I think the number's right. I don't like either way. NHL, no NHL for me. I don't cover it. What are your top prize pick plays for tonight? So I have 2 props on prize picks and I have 3 over on Underdog tonight. These are my only 2. They're the ones from the video. Over on Diggs yardage and over on AJ Brown's yardage. I really like the over on Diggs. I think Diggs and Cole Beasley also have really solid games tonight. Or at least I hope Cole Beasley does. I think he projects out to, but obviously last week Dawson Knox really concerning. And these are the underdog props I have. I have 5 total props tonight. I have 2 bets on the game, which I don't normally have, but I have the under 54.5 and the plus 5.5 Tennessee. Sal, you looking clean over there, boy. Why is the background blurry, though? Because I choose for it to be blurry, but I appreciate that. Because I choose for it to be blurry because it adds depth of field. Because this does not look anywhere near as good, in my opinion. Maybe it does to some people out there. But in terms of catching people's eyes, the depth of field really increases that. I mean, the whole reason why you buy a fucking $1,800 lens, not even the camera, the fucking lens, is so that I can blur this out. Obviously, the glass is a little bit better, but outside that, the only thing it does is literally blur this out. Like, I paid an extra $1,800 to go from this, which is still a little bit blurry, but not a lot, to get it even more fucking blurry. Man, reinvest in your business, they say, huh? I think tonight is the perfect time to hop on Beasley because he's burned the guys in the past. Do you agree with this assumption? Devin Davis, yes, I do. And the more that we talk about it on air right now, I'm leaning more and more to go Beasley in the captain spot tonight. It was between Beasley and Diggs for me. I clearly think you can play both of those players. If you're playing both of those players, do you need to play Josh Allen because of his price point? I don't think you actually do. So, yeah, the more and more that I'm looking at this, the more and more that I want to play Beasley and Diggs together, and Beasley in the captain spot just opens up so much more for you. Like, if you play Beasley in the captain spot and you put a kicker into your lineup, you can really do whatever the fuck you want tonight. Like, in first score's relatively cheap, right? Like, if you go Tyler Bass and Beasley, you have $9,600 left per position. $9,600 left. So you don't even have to worry about the Jeremy McNichols of the world and the Nick Westbrooks of the world and all these dust bunnies down there. You don't even have to worry about Devin Singletary, right? You play whoever the fuck you want. You have so much money left over. Julio's dirt cheap, right? So, yeah, I think it's actually relatively easy to build a lineup tonight if you start to approach your slate that way with Cole Beasley in the captain. So, Beasley, for me, is probably my favorite captain. Thanks for the content. Been crushing it ever since I signed up for Patreon, says Knuckles. Hey, a Patreon member in the community. I saw a bunch of people signing up for Patreon today, probably because NBA's starting. Get up in there if you're not already. Allen over under 35 rushing yards. It's a no bet for me. I have Allen right now at 36.5 rushing yards projected. No Sanders, question mark. I'm not as high on Sanders, but Sanders is a yes for me tonight. He went from a maybe to a yes just because of the fact that there's not many options in general to choose from. But Sanders is firmly behind Cole Beasley and Diggs for me. I have 35% Sanders. Probably wouldn't make a single entry. Do you make most of your money off of winning bets on DFS or from Patreon and YouTube revenue? I mean, it's way more from the business side of things. Way more. It's not even close. Like the last 2 years, I've profited around 25 to 35K in DFS winnings. So far this year, we're up about 33K. Thanks to the one big $30,000 win, but that's normally where you get your big lump sum wins. But it's not even close. Like this year, the business is going to come close to, hopefully, we probably won't get there, but just shy of $1 million in revenue. We'll have an end of year business on that. But yeah, no, it's not even close. Anybody that's in the business of content creation is going to make more from the business of it. And that's because of the fact that advertising, right? Prize Picks and SuperDraft and Underdog want to be partners with me because my demographic watches them. And if I think they're a suitable product and it makes sense to naturally put them into our stuff and I'm already betting on their platforms anyways, then yeah, sure, I will take your money to say that I think your platform is good because I already say that anyways, right? Obviously, it's harder than that to build the audience, but yeah, there is way more upside in business than there is in poker, than there is in betting lines, than there is in betting props because you get limited, than there is in DFS because of the fact that you can be one of the best DFS players in the world and you're just trying to maximize on your top 1% outcomes. And your top 1% outcomes can be a six-figure salary a year, but for how long? 4 or 5 years, whereas business can sustain for 20 to 40 to 50 to 60 to your kids' years, right? Someone just sent this asshole $20, says Robert Webb. Yeah, somebody sent me $20. I don't know if you're calling me an asshole. I mean, I actually think I'm a pretty nice guy. At least in my personal life. I don't know about the internet people. Maybe you said something snarky one time online and I told you to eat a bag of dicks, but what are you going to do? Is Westbrook a keen punt play tonight? Not for me. Tannehill, good option for captain and 20 max. I'm not playing him in captain. I'm up 12K thanks to Sal showing me Prize Picks. Hey, my man's indoor. Up $12,000 Rooskies on fucking Prize Picks. Yeah. Look, if Prize Picks, if I didn't like the product, I'm not advertising products I don't like. I'm not advertising products I don't use, like Manscaped. I literally use my fucking Manscaped thing every day. Ritual vitamins that we've used. I literally take my vitamin every single morning. I'm trying to get a fucking CBD product to go on here. If I wasn't in the state of Texas, I would get a marijuana one so I can actually use it. It looks so much better when it's not blurry, says Gary. I disagree. This, to me, looks way worse than this. This looks professional. No promises tomorrow. Sal got a glizzy. Uh-oh. True words of wisdom right there, Sal. Thanks. Sal, you are sick. You were sick, John. Julio or Diggs today? Give me Diggs if I had to choose one. Paid for my Sal membership in some Sunday. Hey, we love to see that. We love to see that educational lunch. Who's your favorite captains? Beasley, Diggs, Josh Allen, Julio, A.J. Brown. Knox eating up Beasley, I heard. Yeah, he did last game, but that's a one-game sample. Look. Here's the thing. When you're playing showdown slates, as I continue to say, and again, just try and take this information and always apply it, you're looking for leverage in DFS. That does not become any more apparent than showdown slates. How can you leverage the field? How can you leverage the field on a slate where there's literally no fucking value plays, right? On this slate. How can you do that when there's a guy named Cole Beasley who for the last 2 years has been a massive part of the offense? Cole Beasley, right? 2 13-target games this year. That guy, because he caught one ball for 5 yards and saw his lowest snap count ever as a Buffalo Bill last game, and his tight end ended up playing 91% of the snaps, that guy in Cole Beasley is now not being owned. Let's think about this. We have a 2-year sample size where this player was important to the team. We have a 1.5 game sample size where he's not being productive. Let's think about this. And everybody is now assuming that he's not going to be productive based on his current ownership. He is massively, massively underowned. He is the number one leverage play on the slate. Now, can his role be true? Can he only be this 30% snap guy and Dawson Knox is taking it over? I find that hard to believe, right? Unless he's a head case and this whole COVID shit and all that is actually rubbing people the wrong way. I find it hard to believe that this guy is not actually a part of this offense anymore. One of the most high-flying, if not the high-flying offense in the NFL up there with the Bucs, right? So, yes, I'm going to take the leverage that we get on a cheap Cole Beasley with lower ownership when you're not finding that on anybody else in the slate. The only other potential leverage play on the slate is like Devin Singletary because he leverages off of leverages off of Zach Moss, who's going to pick up more ownership, leverages off of Josh Allen, who's going to pick up a lot more ownership. He himself is not as highly owned, right? Does Beasley go over his Prize Picks number? Let me pull up his Prize Picks number. Like his, I assume you mean his fantasy number on Prize Picks. Cole Beasley's fantasy number on Prize Picks is 11. I have him for 12.2, so I will say yes. What are the newer punt plays in comparison with your Monday Picks video? Thanks, Sal. Let's get these dollar whiskeys. Yeah, nobody, my man. Samuel, I appreciate you being in here and watching both videos. The newer punt plays is nobody. It's kind of the same analysis. Like Devin Singletary looks good. Cole Beasley looks really good. The kickers look okay. Jeremy McNichols, if you want it. I don't think you need to punt, though. Like, I'm looking at this slate, and I'm trying to figure out why I would even have to punt on this slate. If you indeed go to a Cole Beasley or a Dawson Knox or whichever one of those guys you want to in the captain spot, which I think both are viable and way more Cole Beasley than Dawson Knox, factoring in price point. But if you wanted to go to Cole Beasley in the captain spot, you don't need to punt at all. You can build a lineup out tonight with a kicker in it, and everybody else can be just absolute fucking studs in the lineup, right? And you can play all the studs. Diggs, Derrick Henry, play all the studs. A.J. Brown, how will he be doing? He's playing with his sickness. If A.J. Brown's active tonight, I'd rather him not be sick, but I'm going to assume that he's okay if he's going to be active tonight. Do you have Cole Beasley captain slot? I'm leaning that way, yes. Sal, Josh Allen passing yards 300 plus? That's a no for me, dog. Saying A.J. Brown play. All right. Singletary or Bills D tonight? Singletary. I think that the Bills defense tonight is a very bad play. The two worst plays on the slate tonight are the Titans defense and the Bills defense. Those are the two worst plays in the slate. And the Bills, I know they have a good defense, but when you're talking about fantasy and you're factoring in that they're $4,800 tonight on a slate with no value, that's a bad spot to spend your money. Which kicker do you prefer? I mean, I would prefer, I'm going to prefer Tyler Bass. Bullock and Bass both look solid, but I have Bass projected for more. Julio over 50 receiving yards. That number seems pretty solid to me. What about Beasley over under receiving yards today? I barely have him over there. Look, I'm trying to get exposure in DFS because of his price tag. So if Cole Beasley goes 7 catches, 50 yards, and a touchdown tonight, I'm feeling really good. What is his receiving over-under? Because I didn't take it. Cole Beasley single stat receiving yards over-under on Prize Picks is a solid 45.5. Yeah. I don't mind an over there. Henry over 100 rushing yards tonight. The over-under is 95.5. I didn't touch it. Any Sanders love? I have about 35% Sanders, but I'm probably not going there in single entry. Still like the game total going under. I took it at 54.5. I don't know what it's at right now in your book, but I liked it at 54.5. Favorite SuperDraft captain play? Great question. SuperDraft tonight, my captain is, or my captain options in terms of what looks good. The kickers will always be solid there. If you're looking for a solid SuperDraft captain, Cole Beasley and Emmanuel Sanders have really, really nice multipliers. Stephon Diggs, clearly always in play over there. So those guys are some of my favorites. Josh Allen has a 1.1x multiplier, which is actually important rather than just a 1x. But the receivers for the Bills are probably my favorite ones. And quietly, Tyler Bass is an interesting captain play on SuperDraft if you're trying to get different. Beasley on SuperDraft too. Yep, Beasley looks great on SuperDraft. Beasley is a top 5 projected player for me over on SuperDraft today. And obviously his multiplier makes him look even more attractive than the likes of Ryan Tannehill and probably even Josh Allen's close. Your projected snap share for the Buffalo running backs tonight, the projected snap share in the Buffalo running backs tonight, I think you're going to see similar stuff to what you've seen all season long, basically, so far. I think you're going to see Zach Moss seeing most of the workload, and you're going to see Devin Singletary. Lately, he's been getting phased out, only 30% of the snaps last game. Zach Moss quietly picking up more and more of the snaps. Singletary did get a little bit nicked up in the last game, but you saw a season-high 66% of the snaps. Zach Moss's snap count has increased every single week. It makes sense. He's basically the bigger version of Devin Singletary. So I think you see Zach Moss play 55 to 60% of the snaps. Devin Singletary get the rest of those when they're not going empty backfields, which they do run the most in the NFL. Actually, I think Arizona overtook them now for the most in the NFL. But that being said, I really don't care about snap share. Like Devin Singletary playing 45% of the snaps and Zach Moss playing 55 or 40-60 tonight is factored into the price point, right? It's factored into their ownership. So I think it's important to the snap share doesn't matter as much. Like it gets you the projection, but it's more so the leverage that they bring you. Sad, do you have a flex lock for your single entries? No, I don't. I mean, I really want to play Diggs tonight, but I wouldn't consider him a lock. Appreciate the knowledge, Sal. You're the man. No, you're the man, Shmoney. The name is Shmoney. I just play cash on showdowns. What percentage of Trubisky do you got? I got 0%. Why won't SuperDraft load for me? What is up with my Wi-Fi right now? How much changed from your video yesterday, Sal? Not expecting any injuries. Yeah, I mean, not much has changed. A.J. Brown is active. Darrington Evans is not playing. Nick Westbrook should return and maybe run a couple of routes. Yeah, not much has changed. You need to check into Delta 8 over CBD. I live in Texas as well, and it's completely legal. I mean, I have CBD. I have CBD. I ordered CBD online from CBDFX. Rounding out my lineup, Fursker and Diggs or Julio and Knox. I'll take Fursker and Diggs. Are we going heavy on Beasley due to the Titans do more man coverage that is more preferable while picking him? I mean, I'm not going on Beasley for any of these coverage things. Like, I really don't care. I think every single team plays guys differently, so I'm not really concerned about how they're going to play Cole Beasley specifically. I think you play teams based on how they go. Like, I would actually expect the Titans to be going more zone than they normally do because it's fucking difficult to man up this team for Buffalo, especially when they're running Dawson Knox out there. So I will say that. That being said, though, I like Cole Beasley because he's a leverage play. If you told me Cole Beasley was going to be highly owned today, yeah, I probably wouldn't have much. The whole point of DFS is to beat your opponents, right? It's not to get the exact projection correct. It's to beat your opponents. And how can I more easily beat my opponents tonight? Oh, when they're not owning Cole Beasley because he had one bad game? Yeah, sure. That seems like the most stereotypical DFS spot of all time. Guy has bad performance. Guy not as highly owned. Other guy in Dawson Knox has better performance. That guy is higher owned. Like, it makes no fucking sense. After the track record. SuperDraft's not even filling at 50%. This is fucking crazy. I mean, we got an hour and 40 minutes, so never mind. But even then. So I have most of my action on SuperDraft tonight. SuperDraft is currently filling at 34% of their main contests. Honestly, I should probably tell you people to not play on there because I'm going to naturally, in terms of expected value, make more money if you don't play over there. So don't play on SuperDraft tonight because you'll take away my edge. But if you actually want the best chance of winning money, you can play on SuperDraft. Look into if you haven't, Sal, says Charles. Delta 8 is the move. I have CBD. I have CBD. Somebody said grow your own weed. I don't have any interest in that. I live in the state of Texas where if there's one place in the entire world where I can still go to jail for a significant amount of time because of marijuana, it would be the state of Texas. It is still not decriminalized here. Talking about being well behind the curve. Like dumb well behind. Sal, how many captains? I live in Texas and I smoke weed every day. There you go, my man. Look, I'm going to be honest with you. I smoke weed 18 times in my life. I don't have much interest in doing it every day. I also don't have much interest in getting it off of a random fucking stranger. Or a friend of a friend. Yeah. I'm going to wait till that shit becomes fully legalized. Which I'm probably biased because so many people in New Jersey, not that I know, but friends of people that I know there are getting late shit and getting real fucked up / dying from it. So I'm good. I'm good to chill with some whiskey. Community prize pick. Yeah, we'll take a community prize pick. I mean, we've talked so much about Cole Beasley. It would be a disservice not to take a community prize pick on Cole Beasley. So community, well, let's take a prize pick. We'll take a pick too. Do you guys want Cole Beasley's over 4.5 receiving yards? Do you want his over 11 fantasy points? Or do you want his over 4 receptions? I think the 4 receptions is the worst number because Cole Beasley can do really good tonight with 4 receptions, 60 yards, and a touchdown, right? Like, that's still really good for us in DFS. But you'd be disappointed because you don't get the over there. I kind of like the over 11 fantasy points. Out of Cole Beasley. Because he can get that number pretty easily, obviously with the touchdown. So let's go over 11 fantasy points for Cole Beasley, and we'll try and pick another one. Julio, maybe Julio's yards, maybe Julio's fantasy points. We'll go the other receiver since we already took Steph Diggs. Delta 8 equals a weed light. It's the shit. Interesting. I'll have to look into it. Cole Beasley and... So what do you guys want? You want Cole Beasley? Do you want Julio Jones? We already have A.J. Brown. I mean, we're taking all the overs, so that's the issue. We already have A.J. Brown's over-unders come down even. Maybe we should just double smack A.J. Brown. What do you guys think? Any Chester Rogers tonight? I think I have Chester Rogers in 25% of my lineups. Why did you move to Texas? My girlfriend's family lives close by, and we also just really liked it when we visited. But girlfriend's family here is definitely a big reason. I think we just double hit AJ Brown now that his total went down. Because trying to get right, like if we're trying to game theory this, I already have the over on Steph Diggs. I already have the over on Cole Beasley fantasy points now, and AJ Brown. Like I don't want to take also the over on Julio Jones and actually think that all these guys get there. Of course, there's a way in a game script that they do. This 54.5 point total would be the way to do so, but it becomes risky. Who remembers that stiff arm from Henry last year? I remember a lot of them. Smoked for 13 years. I'm 26 now. Best move I was made was no longer smoking, but that's just me. Yeah, I don't have like any interest in doing it on a regular basis. No interest at all. Does Prize Picks lines change? Yep, all betting lines change. Betting lines change based on the action coming in on them, and then obviously if any news breaks, they will change them. So are you fading Henry in single entry? I'm seeing a lineup that I don't have to. Best SuperDraft captains. The Bills receivers, a sneaky one would be the Bills kicker, but obviously less upside there. Shannon Sharp or DK Metcalf? I'll take Shannon Sharp because not only is he a beast on the field, but also on the FS1 show, he's pretty funny. Knox or Moss, Largefield? I'll take Dawson Knox versus Moss and Largefield. I'll take Moss. Sal, Diggs receiving yards? Yeah, I took the over 82.5. How do you decide what kicker you're going to use? That depends on the type of construction. I mean, I have Tyler Bass projected for almost 2 more points, so he just looks better than most kickers on a Showdown slate versus the other one. But if you could leave more money on the table and get different by choosing the other kicker, just go for it. It's not that big of a difference. Dawson Knox tonight for MVP. My grandma smoked Delta 8 and died last week from a dog attack. Oh, okay. Smoked weed for a few times. RIP. And my life brother is into it. Not for me, though. Yeah, if I smoke, I get extremely paranoid if I'm not in a very stable situation, basically just in somebody's basement with a lot of food and watching a funny movie. Like, that's about it. Like, smoke outside in public anywhere, I'm literally as paranoid as hell, and it's brutal. I don't like it at all. So I've probably done it about 16, 18 times in my life. Half the times I've been out in public, I had to leave a music festival once because I was going fucking crazy, like literally like out-of-body experience crazy. Had to leave. And then anytime that I'm just watching like TED 2 or Grown-Ups in my friend's basement with like 6 of us kicking back in high school when we go home for winter breaks and stuff, order a fucking big-ass thing of pizza, square pie, chicken bacon ranch, a bunch of desserts from upstairs, their parents' house, and we just fucking mange. It was incredible. That shit, I'd be down to just do that once in a while. But you do that fucking here and you go to jail. Crazy. Link to the Prize Picks. The link to Prize Picks, yeah, I'll grab it for you. If you use the code SAL, you get your first free bet matched up to $100. If Josh Allen throws for 1 passing yard tonight, which I think we all know that that's going to happen, if he throws for 1 passing yard, your first bet will be guaranteed. So if you bet $50, you'll just get 50 back whether you win or lose. So you can either double it, and if you lose, you have another $50. I'll get you the link to Prize Picks right now. The link to Prize Picks is currently in the chat. My man said, anybody else smoke crack? Oh, boy. Oh, boy. His exes live in Texas like he's George Strait. Rodgers over Fursker today. I prefer Fursker. I prefer Anthony. Give me some Anthony, baby. Some Tony. Give me some Tony Fursker. Salad Stavia, you just got Indisa, Paranormal Vashes. Yeah, maybe. I mean, we did hit it off of a fucking stranger at a music festival. Maybe worst decision of my life. Would you rather get stiff-armed by Henry or kicked in the face by Black and shit? Definitely rather get stiff-armed by Henry. Singletary or a kicker? I'll take Singletary. What do we got? How many people we got up in here watching this shit? What do we got? We got 1,300 motherfuckers. Hey, if you're not already subscribed to this channel, hit the subscribe button. Let's get that in there. Let's take the community prize pick. So what do we settle on? Do we want to go over Beasley 11 fantasy points and over AJ Brown? We'll just double tap AJ Brown, I guess. Over 56.5. That's a low number. We'll put a $50 Ruski wager on this bad boy. And there you go. So the community prize picks has been taken. We have added a $50 bet on A.J. Brown and Cole Beasley's overs. We're taking way too many overs tonight. It's not going to work out good for us. I thought this was a DFS channel, not the drug channel. This is the Sal Vetri channel. This channel is not called DFS. Joe Rogan lives in Texas and smokes DMT. Wild. Crazy times. $1.3K, 3 stoners watching. Yeah, there's a lot of fucking stoners in this chat. Jesus Christ, so many people in here saying they smoke every day. Dear Lord. You fade into Tannehill as a captain tonight? Yeah, I don't have any. Sal, you're awesome. Thank you. And what's up with all the cannabis talk? I mean, we're just talking about marijuana. It just happens, I guess. I mean, it just happens. Shit happens. I mean, it's just a plant. It's just a plant. Sal, live in Australia. You ever visited? Love your work. I do not live. I've never visited Australia. I don't like follow the news closely, so I'm pretty ignorant in terms of the news. But I remember seeing like a couple of things in terms of Twitter trending that Australia was like, you could speak on this more, of course, like fucked up right now by COVID. Like they got rid of it and now they're like going extra heavy in terms of like almost like too strict procedures. I don't know though. Do your DraftKings ownership projections transfer well to SuperDraft? It'll be a totally different platform. Trying to project ownership on SuperDraft is just a shit show, especially when the contests don't fill and the site's only been around for like 2.5 years. Please call it cannabis, not marijuana. I will call it marijuana. Marijuana. Have any 5-1 Bills lineups? I'm sure I do. I don't have any rules against it. Jones or Moss? My man. Jones or Moss? Jones or Moss? I'll take Julio Jones. 11 players to pick from. The fuck y'all want him to talk about tonight? Yeah, I mean, what the fuck are we going to talk about? There's like 11 players to pick from, like he said. I do think tonight's a really interesting slate. When you have a cheap Julio Jones, when you have a cheap Cole Beasley. Like, I'm shocked that Cole Beasley is going to be a low-owned cap. Well, I mean, not dirt low-owned in the captain spot, right? Like, let's not get crazy here. But I'm shocked I don't think Cole Beasley is going to be the highest-scoring player on the slate, anywhere near it. He doesn't have to be for the price point, right? Good comment on your bets tonight. If you hit the like button, says Michael Gilman. Yeah, maybe. That'd be great. McNichols just got ruled out, I think, somebody said. Boban Marjanovic. Yes, Al, do you have shares in AMC? No. Somebody said he thinks McNichols just got ruled out. I'll check the Titans page. The inactives aren't due for another 5 minutes. Jeremy McNichols today is currently still no news. Inactives are announced in about a minute or so, and that will be announced on their website. So hopefully he's not ruled out because I don't even know if they have Mekhi Sargent active. Sal, you own any crypto? Join the 1%, brother. I have some Bitcoin. I own a CryptoPunk and some other NFTs. I already did my NFT rant on yesterday's stream. I don't give a fuck about NFTs. I'm invested in a CryptoPunk. I don't give a shit about it. Anybody who tells you they care about the CryptoPunk community, oh, there's such beautiful art. It's stupid as shit. It's all stupid. But if somebody wants to buy that CryptoPunk for me, that's gone from $40,000 to $400,000 since I bought it. Obviously, the bubble can pop at any point. If somebody wants to buy that off of me in 10 years for millions of dollars, I'll laugh at them as I hit the transfer funds, right? Like any props for NBA tomorrow? Yes, I will. I haven't taken any yet, which is probably means I'm late. Sal, how computers are you looking? Just curious. How computers? I have a laptop straight ahead, and I have 2 screens over here. So a screen on each side of me, a laptop straight ahead. Ideally, I'd like to get these screens up in front of me, like up here, not where my hands are in front of the camera. The problem there is I have a camera directly in front of me, and I have a ring light over top of me shooting down on me. That's not where this light is coming from. This light is coming from a hair light that I have back there on that pole that sits behind my head strategically, so you cannot see the pole all that good. I learned that the ring light, when you angle it downwards, is less harsh on you and naturally shows your skin more than right at you, which makes sense. Diggs explosion game. I hope so. The most reliable source. A Twitter page said he was inactive. The most reliable source. Week 6 arrivals. I'm waiting for the Week 6 inactives from the actual team page, which should be any minute. Inactives tonight. Mekhi Sargent is inactive. Josh Reynolds is inactive. We get an active Jeremy McNichols. Josh Reynolds being inactive is important because that means Nick Westbrook will take on the Josh Reynolds role of what I have projected for 0.8 fantasy points tonight. So there you go. But that is actually important. That I mean, that's not insanely important, but for a showdown slate, it's important when Josh Reynolds was going to be like 4% owned tonight. So Nick Westbrook, welcome on down, Mr. Nick Westbrook, Mr. $1,200 Nick Westbrook, Mr. Overpriced Nick Westbrook tonight. Welcome on down, Nick Westbrook, wide receiver, Tennessee Titans. Yeah, not interested, but now he'll at least operate as the wide receiver 4-5 with Marcus Johnson. I still don't think that he's that good of a play. I currently have Nick Westbrook for 1.2 fantasy points now, and he's going to be like 6% owned, and I don't like it. So, yes, Nick Westbrook was a bad play to start the day. He becomes a little bit better now, but still not something that I really want to be playing. Cool. I will update the Nick Westbrook news, but Mekhi Sargent is inactive, so we got close. McNichols could have been out, and Sargent could have been active. Marcus Johnson, ? I think he'll operate as the wide receiver 4 tonight. I think Marcus Johnson runs about 10 routes tonight. You're hoping that could lead to 2 targets. It doesn't look great. You kind of need a touchdown or bust out of him. Sal, the hairline is getting there. It is getting there. I mean, it's basically almost back. It's kind of getting there, right? Marcus Johnson, cheap sleeper, you need one deep ball. That's the thing, though. You don't need one deep ball, right? I think a lot of people get confused with this. A lot of people think because a player is very cheap on showdown slates that if they catch he's not even cheap. He's $1,400. He's cheap relative to Derrick Henry, but he's not cheap relative to like an actual punt play of $200. Because here's the thing on Marcus Johnson. I like Marcus Johnson. I like him a lot. I liked him when he was on the Colts. I liked him in the preseason this year before the injury. He was doing great in camp. I like the guy, but it's all about opportunity. You running 10 routes tonight, maybe 10, like that might be high. He ran 20 routes last week with no Julio out there. So you running 8 to 10 routes and no Westbrook. You running 8 to 10 routes tonight, even if he catches a 40-yard pass for 5 fantasy points tonight, a 40-yard pass, which would be the nut outcome of all nut outcomes, 5 fantasy points out of a $1,400 player, 5 fantasy points out of anybody tonight is probably not putting you in the winning lineup. I'm sorry. It's probably not. Right? It's 5 fantasy points. You would have to have a game where there's no touchdowns scored, where the kickers are barely getting field goals. You would have to have like a 13-6 game, a 13-3 game for a guy with 5 fantasy points to be in the winning lineup. Like, go back and look at all the past lineups. When was the last time a guy with 3, 4, 5 fantasy points was in there? So Marcus Johnson, one deep ball is not enough. A lot of people get confused with that. They think because he's cheap, he just has to do one thing. At the end of the day, 5 points will pay off his salary for himself. It's not going to put him in a winning lineup because at the end of the day, you're trying to beat opponents by scoring the most points. Right? Because when Tyler Bass has 10 fantasy points as a kicker, it's not going to matter that Tyler Johnson is cheaper because the guys who have Tyler Bass in their lineup have 5 more points than you, right? It's not going to matter when Devin Singletary scores 9 points if Marcus Johnson has 5 points because at the end of the day, you can't get to the highest score because your guy has 5 points, right? A lot of people are always concerned about that. Punt plays. Every single slate we talk about this. Somebody's saying it now. Somebody asked me about Colby Parkinson for the Seahawks the other day, not on Sunday night, last Thursday slate. We always get questions about it. It will work out for you 1 out of 100 times, right? Maybe 1 out of 50 that these $200, $1,000 plays who are going to run 5 or 6 routes that they catch 2 balls, 20 yards and have a touchdown and have 10 fantasy points, right? And those other 49 times, man, you're losing all your money. So you better hope that one time that it hits, you better win $1 million, right? It's just not the way to play. Like, I would say that Marcus Johnson right now, like, let me pull up his based on where I have him. I would say that the odds that Marcus Johnson, with A.J. Brown active and Julio Jones active now, the odds that Marcus Johnson finds his way into a winning lineup tonight, I would put at below 10% and likely below 5%. And I like Marcus Johnson. There's just higher percent chances of guys being in optimal lineups. Most notably the kickers, most notably even Devin Singletary, right? Anthony Fursker. Who captain if no value? Cole Beasley is a nice captain. Is Julio going to be higher owned than A.J. Brown because of the snap count? I right now have Julio projecting out for similar ownership. 31% Julio, 38% owned A.J. Brown, so I don't think so. Look, a lot of the public thinks that A.J. Brown is currently better and a lot better than Julio Jones. Those people are wrong. So the ownership will remain high. McNichols is active, correct. Have you tried growing a beard? I can grow facial hair really quick. Like if I didn't shave for a week, I would have a good amount of facial hair. I just have really sensitive skin. So if I grow facial hair, I break out. Like I break out intensely. I'm a 25-year-old who still has sensitive skin acne problems. Like right now I have acne pretty much under control because the last week I prioritized getting 8 hours of sleep instead of the 5.5 to 6 that I was getting for the past couple of months. So literally I got 8 hours. Like all this stuff looks like acne. This is all just like blemishes now, like scarring a little bit. I don't have I think I have like 1 pimple maybe. But if I grow a beard, I'll break the fuck out. How many captains would you suggest in a 20 multi-entry contest? 1 to 3 at most 3, but 1 to 3. Ideally 1 to 2. Depends on your risk tolerance. How do you feel about having Henry and Tannehill in the same lineup as a flex? I think it's fine. Rodgers active, decent play. I have 25%, not playing him in single entry. I like Beasley as a captain tonight too. He usually plays well in plus matchups after coming off a bad game. Yeah, now he's going to be lower owned. I like Beasley a lot. With no value, does Bass have an upside as a kicker to win a large field tournament? Yes, not in the captain spot for me though. What was the community prize pick, says Carlton? The community prize pick said you can get if Josh Allen throws for 1 yard, if it's your first time, a free bet up to $100, literally free, F-R-E, risk-free. This was the community prize pick. Over 11 fantasy points, Cole Beasley. Over 56.5 for A.J. Brown. And if you want to take the community underdog pick, which is 200 to win 1,200, Tannehill over rushing yards, Moss under rushing yards, to leverage on us liking Devin Singletary more. And Derrick Henry under 16.5 receiving yards. McNichols being active. Woof, we held our breath there. But him being active makes this one look a lot better. I don't know if people know this. Derrick Henry has 5 targets in his last 3 games. You remember that game where Derrick Henry had 6 targets in an overtime game? Everybody jumping up and down, losing their fucking minds against Seattle week 2? Yeah, since then, 5 total targets in 3 games. But the game scripts, Sal, they weren't going that way. Yeah, they were against the Jets, and Jerry McNichols saw 12 targets, right? So I'm not shocked if Derrick Henry catches 2 balls for 20 yards today. I'm not shocked, and if I lose that bet, that's what happens. I do think that these numbers are high. I do think that people are overestimating Derrick Henry's actual ability in the receiving game, right? I just think that's the case. In negative game scripts, will he run more routes? Yes. Is it going to go from 10 to 20 to 25? No, it's going to go from 10 to 16. So his opportunities to get one more target kind of increase, right? I'm not sold on this Derrick Henry role, and neither are the Titans based on McNichols running fucking 22 routes and seeing 12 targets a couple weeks ago. Sal, what punk do you own, brother? The number of the punk that I own, it is an African-American woman with blonde hair. That is the crypto punk I am invested in. Let me pull up what I own. I own part of it. It's not on my OpenSea. It's on Nick Ercolano's OpenSea. So let me pull up Nick Ercolano. Nick Ercolano, OpenSea. I think he's under Nick. Alrighty. Is Dawson Knox a must-have tonight? No. Sal, what is your projected points for Singletary? About 8.2. McNichols is active, yes. Will you have NBA Showdown on Patreon tomorrow? It's not a Showdown slate. It's a 2-game slate. Oh, you're asking me if I'll cover the Showdown? No, I only cover the main slates. I don't cover NBA Showdowns unless it's only a 1-game slate. Patreon. I mean, if you think about it, all the projections for the Showdown are already out there because I projected the 2-game slate. So projections are already up. The player props tool that we have debuted on Patreon for NBA, maybe we'll add one for NFL. Maybe. Mid-season could be tough. But we have some more tools now on NBA. Yeah, so sign up for Patreon. What are you doing if you're not one of the 1,000 members? Sal, get a Bored Ape. I don't want to. I have no interest. I don't even want the things that I currently own. I don't give a shit about a CryptoPunk or these. I don't even know what these other things I have are. All right, Nick Ercolano. Let's see the number. Our CryptoPunk is number. My man Nick Ercolano buying up a lot of this random ass shit. Our CryptoPunk is number 2716. 2716. Sal, question. Can you see Cole Beasley as captain and both other Bills wide receivers with Allen, or is that a bad idea? That's an onslaught lineup. So probably get Ryan Tannehill or some Titans receivers in there. I don't usually like those lineups, though. Have you heard of Ape Gang, Sal? No, I don't give a shit. I've heard of these Bored Apes. I honestly don't care. I don't care about CryptoPunks. I don't care about any of the NFTs I own. I don't care about Top Shots. I don't care. Do I invest in them? Yes, because other people care. That's the end of the day. If I can make some money in things because other people highly value it just by holding it, I'll do it. Like, I'm not going to start up a career in NFTs because I don't give a shit about it. I won't have the passion. But if I can buy something because I am in the know-how because of the community that we're in here with DFS and NFTs, it's like kind of the first movers. Yeah, I'll tail those people. It worked out on CryptoPunk, so I'll tail them on a couple other things when I see it. But for the most part, yeah, no, I don't really give a shit. What is these other things that I own? The Goons of Ballatroon. I have 2 Goons of Ballatroon. I think I paid like $1,000 for each of them, and they're worth absolutely nothing right now. Imagine not seeing the potential in NFTs. I see the potential in NFTs. We're not going to go down this train again. I see the potential in it. I understand it. I understand giving value to your community by allowing them to own parts of your music or allowing them to own parts of a future ticket and e-ticket. I get it. I understand all this. I understand what Fortnite is doing with skins. I understand NFTs. I completely understand it. I think it's cool. I don't give a shit about it enough to spend most of my days talking about it or like trying to convince other people about it, right? It's the same thing with cryptocurrencies. I don't want to convince other people and talk their ear off about this is the next big thing. This is the exact same thing about the .com boom. It's the same fucking thing, right? The internet still exists. NFTs will still exist. All the projects on them, most of the .com boom websites go to shit, right? So I don't want to be the reason why my family members and my friends lose all their money because I'm saying you should be getting a Goon of Babbletron. Get the CryptoPunks, right? Some of them will hit. Most of them won't. Most of the people will lose their money. A lot of people will lose their money. And unfortunately, in these situations with anything that is pops up and here and there, unfortunately, people that can't afford to lose money lose their money. Moss over under 2 receptions. I would take the under. What's your favorite and best DFS sport? Ooh, favorite's tough. Best in terms of the most that I've won. That's probably a percentage question. Like NFL will be the one that I've won the most on, but I've also been playing that the longest with the most action. Favorite's a tough one. It really depends on the season. Like, there's nothing like NFL preseason. NFL preseason is probably my favorite. That's probably above the rest. But NBA, the daily grind of that is really exciting. It's very difficult, though. NBA will have the sharpest people because you have to pay attention to news. But I'll say preseason NFL is the best. McNichol's a good value. Yeah, he's fine. Honestly, with not much value, I don't think you have to get that low. Singletary or Bills D? Singletary. I think the Bills D is the second worst play on the slate. Josh Reynolds is out. Correct. Who is your top fade player tonight? Top fade player? I mean, maybe like that I'm lower on than the field. I only have 29% Ryan Tannehill, which will definitely be lower than the field. The field is coming in right now at 48% Tannehill. Yeah, I'm not like about fading him, but Singletary, I'm not getting there. The Dutch tulips, bro. Yeah, exactly. The Dutch tulips. Yep. Thanks for all the great content, Sal. Gotta go. Let's keep these dollar rooskies, gang. Let's do it. Sal, why did you say Collins wouldn't do shit and he was in the winning lineup? Alex Collins wouldn't do shit. I mean, Alex Collins for me on Patreon was a solid play. He was a B. Was he a B or a B plus in GPPs? So I don't know what you're saying. Alex Collins, I think what I said was bad player and going to get the ball a lot, right? It also took him overtime to hit the 100-yard bonus, right? So keep that in mind. But he got banged up. So Alex Collins went for what? 20 points at 6,800 yesterday. He was an average play. Best place to get ownership projections. I have ownership projections, sir, so I'll plug myself. Moss or Singletary? I'll take Singletary if I had to choose one for leverage. I only play fantasy NFL. There you go. Yo, what do I tell my barber to get a fade like you? Looking fresh, G. I like to get a high. I get a high fade with a 5 or a 6 on top, and then a lineup, and I get my eyebrows done. Mid fades are nice, but they don't last as long. Like if you're just going to like a wedding, I would get a mid fade because it looks better in pictures. It's more defined in pictures, but it only lasts a couple of days. A high fade, I just like short hair, so it's kind of like a high and tight, but it's called a high skin fade, high zero fade, high ball fade, 5 or 6 on top. How much do you have on Diggs in the captain spot tonight? I have Diggs in the 30%. Alex Collins had 100 before overtime. Yeah, did he get hurt before overtime? Did he get hurt in regulation? I don't fucking know. I woke up. I watched like the first half of the first quarter. I spent, watching you last night was a way better use of my Sunday night personally. Also, if you guys haven't watched the limited series Made on Netflix, fucking outstanding. The shows right now on Netflix is incredible. Use out. If I don't like Dynasty, my girlfriend does that coming out. Obviously, Squid Games. Like if Squid Games, the number one Netflix show of all times in the amount of time it's been out, if that show was not currently out on Netflix, Made would be getting all the fucking hype that Queen's Gambit got. Made is fucking incredible. I like it more than Squid Games, personally. It's great. Gonna miss your NBA videos for real. I understand why, though. Who would you say who is good? I don't fuck with Osmo boys. I like Osmo guys. I don't know who makes content. I honestly don't know. I follow like 60 people on Twitter. Outside of those people, I really don't know much. I have no idea who covers NBA. I know Osmo guys do because I did shows with them. I don't really know who covers NBA other than that, like on free shows. But I have all the tools on Patreon. Yeah, I would love to do shows. Maybe I'll do a show tomorrow night just because it's a 2-game slate and there's no NFL. But I can't do it any other nights of the week. I'm not spending my Friday nights doing that. I'm not doing it on the weekends because I need time for my personal life. Mondays and Thursdays is NFL. And Wednesdays I release 2 NFL videos, so I'm not going to do that too. So yeah, it's tough. Wife is a Steelers fan, so I had to watch the boring-ass game. It'd be like that. Made was awesome. Finished the season in one night. Couldn't stop watching it. Damn, one night. It took me a couple days, maybe like a week or so. I watched like an episode a day. How high are you on Sanders in the captain? I have 0% Sanders captain. First or either kicker? I'll take it. Tyler Bass. So I'm up 32, and he's got Sanders and Knox. Do you think I win? I think you win. Pruder Johnson for salary shit play. I'll take Johnson. Do you have a subscription or a Discord? Yeah, my Discord is for Patreon members only. My Patreon is my subscription service. It's got, you can see what it's got. It's got a bunch of different offerings, optimizers, Discord access, projections, ranks, ownerships, tools. What's your advice on 3-entry max for captains? All same captain and mix it. Yeah, Richie, I get this question a lot. It depends on the slate. It depends on your risk tolerance. But it depends on the slate. This past week, I used a different quarterback in all my main lineups on Sunday's slate. Some weeks I go with one quarterback. It really depends on the slate. It depends on your risk tolerance. If you think you have an edge in playing Cole Beasley tonight, which I think there is one, go for it. But I also like Steph Diggs, right? Tyler Bass or a defense, Tyler Bass. Who's a better play, Beasley or Sanders? I'll take Beasley. Made was great. Queen's Gambit was meh. Yeah, I thought Queen's Gambit was fine. I thought Queen's Gambit was good, but very slow. Like, Queen's Gambit is a stereotypical show that gets overhyped. Same exact thing for Squid Games. Squid Games was a great and exciting watch. It was an interesting thought. It could have been half the amount of episodes, right? Squid Game was a good fucking show. It's getting overhyped. But the content matter is why it's getting overhyped. It's the fucking Hunger Games, right? The Hunger Games, I thought, was a great show, but again, overhyped. Like, the actual acting within it, the actual storylines within it, not that great in Squid Games. The reason you're watching it is because, like, these people are fucking dying playing a game, and what happens next? But, like, the twist at the end with the old, like, if you haven't watched it, I'm sorry, but, like, it wasn't that cool. Like, it wasn't like, oh, shit, this is happening. It was kind of like, okay, like, they kind of just snuck that in lastly. Sal isn't making NBA content anymore. I'm going to be making NBA content when the NFL playoffs start. I have NBA content on Patreon, all my tools and optimizers. I don't have the time. Look, I'm a one-man band here. It's about a 60-hour work week to cover the NFL. If I try to make NBA content, I'll be working 80 to 100 hours a week. And personally, I do not want to do that. And personally, if I want to have a girlfriend and a personal life and get 8 hours of sleep, 7 hours of sleep, and work out and eat meals, I can't do that. So I would love to cover the NBA. And I'm going to be doing projections, player props tool, all this stuff, rankings, the optimizer, all it's on Patreon, right? I'd love to cover it. We'll be talking in the Discord. I would love to cover it full on, go. The NBA season should have started in December like last year if they wanted me to do that, though. What's Henry's ownership going to be? It's going to be high. It'll be above 50%. Only Josh Allen's will be higher. 3% on Netflix is good, kind of like Squid Games. Sal, did you say 5-1 Bills lineup is fine tonight? It's always fine. It's never something that I like, though. Favorite play on Prize Picks, bro? Yeah, what's going on, Hunter? I have a couple of plays on Prize Picks tonight. I have three total props. AJ Brown's over, Cole Beasley's over, and Steph Diggs over. I actually like my underdog play better. If you want to use the code SAL, you get a free $10 there. I like underdog better because these numbers are a little bit better. Zach Moss's under's better there. Same exact thing for Derrick Henry's under receiving yards. A little bit better there. Derrick Henry or Diggs? I'll take Diggs. Once NFL season is over, full-time NBA? Yeah, most likely since the XFL isn't starting until 2023. So, yeah, probably most likely full-time NBA from... I mean, January is when the playoffs will start, so maybe I'll start to do a little bit more there with NFL slowing down, less games, less coverage, no Monday night or Sunday or Thursday night showdown. So once the NBA starts, probably more full-time or NFL playoffs, so 2022. Don't blame me, bro. You are one of the best in the business, but you got to do what's best for you. Yeah, it's not even what's best for me. It's just like what literally is logistically possible. Like if I wanted to make an extra video in the morning for NBA every day, it's a 3-hour process to research for the video, to make sure it's proper, to record, to edit, to upload. It's a 3-hour process. That's 15 to 20 hours a week, not even counting if I wanted to do live streams. And that I just currently don't have. So if there was 2 of me, I would do it. I don't have any interest. We tried last year in terms of like finding people to hire. I don't want to scale my business. Obviously, not wanting to scale your business is not the same as not wanting to make more money and grow that way. But I have no interest. Company of One, really good book. Shout out Rick Gaiman for recommending it. I just, the amount of headaches that would come on from scaling a business in administrative work on top of that is not worth it for me. You would crush live before lock for NBA, no doubt. I was doing NBA live streams all of last year, live streams before lock all of last year, so we did good. It was a fun time. I'm pretty confident in my lineup, so you know what that means. Lose 90% of my money and put more money in on Thursday for the one-night game. Yeah, man, as long as you're not losing money that you can't afford, and then one day you just bank and you're good to go. Sal, under 52.5 yards for Julio looks tempting on Prize Picks. That's a no bet for me. I'd rather the over, but no bet. I already have A.J. Brown's overs. Bills defense or Singletary? I don't like any of the defenses really tonight. Bills over Titans, but I don't really like either. Brown and Julio or Henry and Fursker? Brown and Julio. Only 4 targets for Beasley last 2 games concerning? Yeah, it's definitely concerning. But what about the 13 targets in the 2 out of the 3 games before that, right? So it's definitely concerning, but everybody else is concerned by it, so I'll try and leverage the fact that other people are feeling not confident. What's Prize Picks for Henry's rushing attempts? They don't have rushing attempts. They have passing attempts. They don't have rushing attempts. They have yards and receiving, but no passing attempts. Alrighty, gang. Sports News has Bills defense and the captain. How often do you think a defense is the captain optimal? How often do I think the Bills defense tonight will be a captain optimal? I would say a less than 2% chance. Probably less than a 1% chance. That's not me being tongue-in-cheek. That's like the legitimate numbers you can run through an optimizer. I would say that the Bills defense odds of being in the captain tonight is a less than 2% chance. So no thank you. Sal, I hope you're well. Best low-owned captains. I think Cole Beasley is going to be a low-owned captain. I mean, he'll be like 8% owned. I think that's too low. Do you need Allen and single entry tonight? I don't think you need him, no. So, all right, everybody, we're out. We've been live for about an hour and 12. Hey, if you're still watching, do me a solid. I'm about to make some dinner. I got HelloFresh for the first time this year. Actually, I made one meal. It's really good, HelloFresh. Maybe we'll get them as a sponsor on the podcast. But yeah, if you're still watching, 2 seconds of your time to hit the subscribe button. We're trying to grow this here channel. It'd be great if you want to join the community. If you want to join the actual exclusive community, the other community, it's on Patreon. NBA starts tomorrow, and we have all the tools that you need for NBA. Here's a salesman Sal coming out, as well as all the NFL stuff and all that. So thank you. I'll talk to you guys in the Discord. If you are a Discord Patreon member, I appreciate you. Ryan says, Sal, your personality is pretty smooth. You were low-key built for this shit. Thanks, man. It doesn't come like that. Go watch my first ever video on YouTube. It's a music review from 2018 summer. I just got a camera and started doing shit. Wasn't always this way. It's lots and lots of reps. Being an Italian from New York and naturally talking with my hands and naturally liking to communicate with other people. And my personality is just, I don't even know what the type of the personality is, where it's just kind of like right away, I want to be a little bit witty and all that, right? That helps. But getting comfortable on camera, understanding how to flow through, understanding how to talk into a camera for an hour when nobody's talking back to you, right? It takes reps. There's no way you're going to be a natural right off the bat. Some people can be a natural, but not great right off the bat, right? Hit the like before you go. Best of luck tonight, everybody. Again, for closing out, I have 3 props on Prize Picks, 3 props on Underdog. I'm playing more on SuperDraft tonight than I am on DraftKings because the DraftKings slate isn't great, but the leverage I do think is in Cole Beasley, but obviously there's a massive risk there. But playing more on SuperDraft, I expect that contest on Monday night, an hour till lock, to fill out like 80%. So that's where I'm going to go. Peace out, gang. I appreciate you all a ton. See you on the next one. Appreciate you a ton. Appreciate you a ton. Appreciate you a ton. The NBA starts tomorrow. Your boy loves the motherfucking NBA. Play some motherfucking DFS in the NBA. Play some motherfucking DFS in the NFL tonight. Play some motherfucking DFS in golf on Thursday. Oh, what a time to be alive. When you win the dollar whiskeys today, rub the fucking pumpkin for good luck. Tell those people this shit's rotten. Look at this rotten ass fucking pumpkin. I'm going to drop this. It's going to splatter everywhere. Ruin everything. When you win the dollar whiskeys today, tell them. I did it. Woo, baby. I did it. Because I know football. Whew, goddamn, I'm hungry. And football knows me. Appreciate you all the time. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'll see you when I see you. I'll see you when I see you. Tomorrow morning, first look, week 7. Be there. Or be fucking square. Sheesh. Man, that guy, Sal, he kind of crazy. Doing all that weird shit, rubbing ass pumpkins, saying it's pumpkin fucking season, pause. I might try it, though. Shit.